teacher takes a hand, opens the mind, and touches the heart. Elva Fabricante, Teacher 1 of Sultan Naga di Maporo Memorial Integrated School, conducted a research on impact of Claveria reading technique on the reading readiness of Kindergarten-Agila Pupils. Teaching kindergarten pupils is a very challenging task for the teacher. The fact that these little ones really need the guidance in everything they do, whether when they write, eat, drink, hand wash, listen, and explore. The teacher really had to plan on what are the teaching strategies to use on them that have to be fun and meaningful, especially when, at this period, these kids are getting ready to learn how to read, count, and write. In these days, the kindergarten teacher feels and gradually notices the pressure that the parents and school heads are putting into their shoulders in speeding up the pupils' learning in the classroom, especially in reading, since reading is one of the most important skills that should be learned in the school. It is very important to note that the pupils will learn if they have fun. The use of conceptualized and localized pictures will surely capture their attention and may lead to greater learning to read. This is where Claveria reading technique comes in. In this technique, a conceptualized and localized picture will be used to introduce the first syllable of the word. The learners will familiarize the pictures first, and eventually, the first syllable of the word that is labeled on the picture will register on their minds. This will be then the basis for enriching the reading readiness of the kindergarten pupils. The main purpose of this study was to determine the impact of Claveria reading technique on the reading readiness of the Kindergarten-Agila pupils. Specifically, this study sought to answer the following questions. 1. What is the level of reading readiness of the pupils as measured in the pre-test? 2. What is the level of reading readiness of the pupils as measured in the post-test? 3. What is the level of reading readiness of the pupils as measured in the pre-test and post-test? 4. Is there a significant difference between the pupils' reading readiness before and after they are exposed to Claveria reading technique as measured in the post-test? This study was conducted to determine the impact of Claveria reading technique on the reading readiness of the Kindergarten-Agila pupils of Sultan Naga di Maporo Memorial Integrated School, school year 2019-2020. A one-group pretest post-test design is employed in this study to determine the impact of Claveria reading technique on the reading readiness of the kindergarten pupils. It is a quasi-experimental research design in which the same dependent variable is measured in one group of participants before and after a treatment is administered. The participants are from one intact class of kindergarten section Agila pupils for the school year 2019-2020 at Sultan Naga di Maporo Memorial Integrated School. They are selected through purposive sampling technique. Since the research wanted to determine the impact of Claveria reading technique to the reading readiness of the kindergarten pupils, this study utilized an instrument adapted from Abbott B. et al. 2012, which consisted of 10-item picture consonant tests that measured the phonics reading readiness of the pupils. The researcher modified the adapted test since the language used in kindergarten as medium of instruction is mother tongue, which is Cebuano, Bisaya. Furthermore, the researcher made it into 10-item picture syllable test. The test undergone content validation of experts, and pilot testing was conducted to test its reliability. In the post-test, the researcher used the same questions from the pre-test but of different test item placement. In interpreting the results of pre-test and post-tests, Likert Scale Interpretation Guide by McLeod 2019 was used. Before the conduct of the study, A letter of intent asking permission was submitted to the school's division superintendent of Lanao del Norte. Upon receiving the approval of the request to conduct the study, the letter was presented to the school principal where the study was conducted. By following research ethics, a permission letter attached with certificate of consent was sent to the parents of the participants. It stated the objectives, benefits, and confidentiality of the identity of the participants of the study. The researcher then started to execute the research after gaining the approval to conduct the quasi-experimental study. These are the sample of developed, localized, and conceptualized Claveria instructional materials in Cebuano, Binisaya. A. Apa. Ba. Baso. Ka. Kabayo. Da. Dahon. E. Eroplano. Ga. Gatas. Ha. Hari. I. Iko. La. Lapis. Ma. Manok. Na. Nanay. O. Orasan. Pa. Payong. Ra. Radyo. Sa. Saging. Ta. Talong. Data analysis question number 1. What is the level of reading readiness of the pupils as measured in the pretest? Table 1 shows the distribution of the respondents in terms of their pretest scores. Result displays that the respondents have very low scores. Since the respondents have very poor performance, this pertains to say that the respondents haven't established reading readiness yet, since most of them have not undergone preschool or daycare education. Question number 2. What is the level of reading readiness of the pupils as measured in the post-test? Table 2 presents the distribution of respondents in terms of their post-test scores. Result shows that the respondents have indicated improved reading readiness. This implies that the respondents have gained openness and confidence to learn. Question number 3. What is the level of reading readiness of the pupils as measured in the pretest and post-test results? Table 3 displays the distribution of respondents in terms of their pretest and post-test scores. Result demonstrates that the pretest scores were observed to be very poor. On the other hand, the result shows that the post-test scores were observed to be evidently higher. Respondents can be classified within very poor to poor performance in the pretest scores. Then, a great increase in them having more obtained at fair and good performance in the post-test scores. This simply indicates that a clear improvement of the pupils' reading readiness is highly noted. Question number 4. Is there a significant difference between pupils' reading readiness before and after they are exposed to Claveria reading technique as measured in the post-test? Table 4 presents the paired difference on the pretest and post-test scores of the respondents. Result shows that there is a significant difference between the pretest and post-test scores of the respondents, since the p-value of less than 0.001 does not exceed at the 0.05 level of significance. This implies that there is a significant increase and highly significant improvement of the pupils' reading readiness relative to their pretest and post-test scores. According to Vernon and Donal, 1980, as mentioned in the study of Lani, 2016, the use of pictures are more efficient and practical than words. They are easier to recall and to remember than words. This is true with the Claveria reading technique, where the pupils are exposed to the localized and conceptualized pictures with the first syllable of the word written on it. Recommendations. Based on the conclusion drawn from this study, the following recommendations are formulated: that teachers and school administrators will utilize different techniques and strategies in improving pupils' reading readiness while they are still in kindergarten, and consider Claveria reading technique as one of them. On the other hand, localized and conceptualized teaching materials based on the medium of instruction of the classroom may be considered, since Cebuanong Bisaya and Maranao are mainly used in the kindergarten classrooms in Sultanaga de Mapuro district. That pupils will be exposed to the different techniques and strategies that help them establish the reading readiness, where Claveria reading technique could be one of them. That parents will continue to support school programs and projects, especially the bring home activities of the children. Follow-up from parents will be a great help to establish good study habits of the children. That further study will be conducted considering a wider scope of study population and, if possible, other alternative approaches in enhancing pupils' reading readiness. This is Najira Pipirino, a Kindergarten-Agila pupil. With the permission of her parents, this video was taken after the introduction of Claveria reading technique to the class. After familiarizing all the pictures with labeled syllables and with constant follow-up, Najira was able to read without looking the guide pictures. Okay, very good. Collecting reading materials was paid off because Najira now can read a bit faster. This was taken during follow-up conducted via messenger. Through Najira's knowledge on the Claveria reading technique, reading English was made easy for her.
Najira, sige, basa. Lesson 6.
Once again, Elva Fabricante, researcher.